Okay, good evening. Let's cultivate our motivation. Again, let's rejoice at the fact that we are still alive in this precious human life. And we still have all of our senses intact. We have all of the external and internal conditions to really be able to make our life very meaningful. So whoever we were in a previous life did a lot of work to bring about these circumstances. So let's really take advantage of them and dispel the self-pity mind and instead really see the amazing opportunity we have and feel very happy and energized by that. And then let's take that energy and direct it towards generating the bodhicitta, so that we seek not only our own liberation, but the full enlightenment of each and every living being, all of whom have been kind to us in the past, all of whom we depend upon temporally just to have the things we need to stay alive, and ultimately we depend on them because they are the ones with which we create merit that will nourish our mind stream so that we can attain realizations. So with the mind that really cherishes sentient beings and has a fondness and feels related to them, then let's listen to and study about the path to full enlightenment so that we can follow it and actualize it. Okay, so last week we finished the discussion about the fundamental vehicle, path and stages of the hearers and solitary realizers. And so there is a quiz. Did you put it online? So the people following it online should be able to find it. How do they find it?
It's just posted right below where the screen is in the description section. Okay,
so it's posted right below this where the screen is in the description section. And so there's a quiz. It's open. Well, first you do it without the book and you write it all out and you see how much you remember and how much you understand. And then you go back through it and with the text and with your notes and really study it and fill in the spaces you missed. Okay? And then we'll go over it in the upcoming weeks. But today we'll continue with beginning the Mahayana paths. I wanted to introduce the latest member of our community, but she is running up the stairs as fast as her little paws will carry her. But she'll be back, I'm sure, and you'll get introduced to her here. Come here, sweetheart. Anyway, we have a new kitty. Our other kitty is called Maitri, which means love. So this one's called Karuna, which means compassion. And this is your debut, sweetheart. Put your paws together and say, Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. Okay? You have to take a number in order to hold her here at the Abbey. She's the most popular thing around. Everybody else feels neglected. And And so if there's a little bit of laughter during the teaching, that's why. Yes, she's climbing up my rope. Okay, so download the quiz and then work on it this next week. Okay. Pay attention to me, not to her. She's not one of the conditions of a precious human life. Okay, and so do the quiz and then we'll start going over it next time. Okay? So today I wanted to start talking about the Mahayana paths and grounds. Okay? So there's 5 paths, and they have the same name, path of accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation, and no more learning, except they always are called Mahayana path of Mahayana path of accumulation, Mahayana path of preparation, and so on. The other one was called here path of accumulation. Okay, so you always have to specify kind of which vehicle it is. Okay, so let's just go over those 5 paths briefly. Okay, you enter the Mahayana path of accumulation when you've generated spontaneous bodhicitta. Okay, in other words, the wish to become a fully enlightened being in order to benefit all beings, including ourselves. Okay, so in order to generate bodhicitta, first you have to have generated renunciation. Because with renunciation, you want yourself to be free of cyclic existence. So that's the idea of the Buddha's compassion for ourselves. When you think about it, compassion, wanting somebody to be free of suffering and its causes, so wanting ourselves to be free of samsara and its causes, which is what renunciation is, then that's compassion for ourselves. So we have to have that first, which means we have to really see the disadvantages of cyclic existence first. Because if you don't see the disadvantages of cyclic existence, and if you don't understand how they can be overcome, then you're not going to have, any renunciation. Yeah. And to really understand the disadvantages of cyclic existence, we have to have some understanding of karma and some understanding of rebirth and how that happens. Okay, so it isn't like you just sit down and, right off from the very beginning generate bodhicitta. You have to, have all these other understandings beforehand in order to actualize real bodhicitta. And also, bodhicitta isn't just being a nice person. We tend to say that when somebody's really nice, oh, what a bodhisattva. Of course, that's when they're nice to us. When they're nice to our enemy, we never say, oh, what a bodhisattva. We say, what a beep, beep, beep. Okay? So a bodhisattva is not just somebody who's nice. Okay? And bodhicitta is not just love and compassion. Okay, because hears and solitary realizers also have love and compassion. Yeah? So bodhicitta is a very specific mind that is aiming for full enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Okay, so it actually starts out with the wish to benefit all beings and then seeks enlightenment in order to do that. Okay, so it's very important to actually know what bodhicitta is if we're going to generate it. Because sometimes in the West, our language gets a little sloppy about this kind of stuff, and it could be maybe that our understanding is equally as sloppy. Okay? So when you have bodhicitta such that when you see a sentient being, your heart just says, I want to attain enlightenment for their benefit. Yeah, now when we see sentient beings, it's like, oh, I like that one, I don't like this one, this one's good looking, this one isn't. Yeah, and we have all these kinds of judgments. So we have to get rid of all of that, to open the space so that when we see sentient beings, our thought is, love and compassion and the wish to become enlightened for their benefit. Okay? So that's the mind with which we enter the Mahayana path of accumulation. Yeah, it has 3 stages, you know, small, middle, and large, like or small, middle, and great, like the previous one. When you're still on the small path of accumulation, it is possible to lose your bodhicitta. So, you know, you have to be really, really careful, even if you've generated bodhicitta, not to lose it. Yeah. And what losing bodhicitta means is that you give up seeking enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. Now, that sounds, well, you know, kind of like, well, who's going to do that? Well, all sentient beings means every single one. So if you get so mad at one sentient being that you don't want to work for their benefit and their enlightenment, then there's no longer bodhicitta for all sentient beings. So anger is, you know, the big thing that is our true enemy here. And to really watch the mind so that we don't get so fed up with somebody that we just say, screw this, and, you know, I'm not working for your benefit, go to hell, and, you know, like we usually do, because then we have no bodhicitta. Okay? And then without bodhicitta, we're the ones who suffer. So at the beginning, when I was saying that we depend on sentient beings not only for our temporal happiness, but also for our spiritual realizations, this is what I meant. Okay? They are the object with which we generate love, compassion, and bodhicitta. So we depend on them. If we lose love and compassion for one of them, then our bodhicitta is gone. Then it's impossible to become a Buddha. Okay, so we have to be very careful about that. Okay, then on the Mahayana path of accumulation, you're accumulating a lot of merit. Okay, you're meditating on emptiness, and when you have enough merit, and when you're able to realize emptiness conceptually with a union of serenity and insight, with a union of shamatha and vipassana, then you enter the Mahayana path of preparation. Okay, so just like the fundamental vehicle path of preparation, it's an inferential realization, but it's united with serenity, so it's quite an accomplishment. Then you have the 4 stages on the path of preparation, and at the last stage, the stage of the supramundane dharma, then that is a mind that is meditating on emptiness, and it turns into the uninterrupted path of seeing. Yeah, when you directly perceive emptiness, okay, non-conceptually with a direct perception, then you enter the Mahayana path of seeing. Okay? So it's similar in those ways to the fundamental vehicle path, except you have to accumulate a lot more merit. So when we talk about the Mahayana path accumulating 3 countless great eons, those first 2 paths that we just described, path of accumulation, of preparation, you spend one countless great eon on those 2 paths. Okay? When you start the Mahayana path of seeing, you also start the 10 bodhisattva bhumis, or the 10 bodhisattva grounds. And those run through the Mahayana path of seeing, Mahayana path of meditation. All 10 are spread out between those 2. Okay? Similarly, on the Mahayana path of seeing, you eliminate the acquired afflictions. On the path of meditation, the point that demarcates that is when you gain the uninterrupted path that is able to start eliminating the innate afflictions. Okay? And you still have that same outline of the 81 levels that are divided into 9 stages and so on. Okay? And then when you attain the Mahayana path of no more learning, then that is full Buddhahood. Okay, so before that, between the seventh ground and the eighth ground, there's a big change. Okay, the seventh and eighth ground are both on the Mahayana path of meditation. At the end of the seventh ground, yeah, you generate the uninterrupted path at the beginning of the eighth ground, and that uninterrupted path is what eliminates the final remnants of the afflictive obscurations, so that when you have the liberated path, you know, on that first liberated path with the eighth bhumi, then you are similar to an arhat in that now you've eliminated all the afflictive obscurations. Okay, you still have the cognitive obscurations, and you eliminate those on the 8th, 9th, and 10th grounds. The arhats don't eliminate those. The fundamental vehicle arhats haven't eliminated those. Okay? So you spend one countless grade eon on the path, Mahayana path of accumulation preparation, another countless grade eon on the first bhumi to the seventh bhumi. Okay, bhumi means ground, and I often say bhumi instead of ground, so just know what it means. It's the Sanskrit word. And then from the 8th bhumi to the 10th bhumi, you spend another countless grade eon, because that's when you are eliminating the cognitive obscurations that obscure knowing all phenomena. Okay, so that's how you spend your 3 countless grade eons. So we're not even at the point where we begin the first countless grade eon. But that's no reason for discouragement, because we've met the Dharma and we have a precious human life. Okay, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, because what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
You know, if you really have something else that's very important to do and you don't want to hang around on the Bodhisattva path for 3 countless grade eons, because the movie at the theater is not going to be showing by the time you attain enlightenment, and you really want to see that movie, then maybe you're not ready for the Bodhisattva practice yet. You know, but so really think about if you have anything else that you really want to do, that's really important to do. Okay, that you can't wait 3 countless grade eons until you can do it. Yeah. And if you say, well, you know, sentient beings are suffering, I don't want to wait 3 countless grade eons in order to benefit them, then that's the motivation that takes you into the Vajrayana path. Okay? So the only way to get out of the 3 countless grade eon thing is to go into Vajrayana, but that's not quick and easy. That's a very, very difficult path. Okay? Okay, so what else did I want to tell you? Okay, so we have the 10 bodhisattva grounds. Yeah, the first ground is on the path of seeing, and then the 2nd through the 10th are on the path of meditation. And the grounds are all ultimate bodhicitta. In other words, they're all the wisdom realizing emptiness directly. However, okay, you still are developing your realization of emptiness, because with each ground, the liberated path of each ground, you have completely abandoned a new set of obscurations. Okay, because we have those 9 levels of obscurations. So with each ground, you've completely eliminated a new one. Yeah. So the uninterrupted paths of all the grounds, they differ in terms of their power to abandon afflictions, and they differ in terms of their objects of abandonment. Because each of the grounds eliminates a different, one of those 9. Yeah? And so, you start out, your first uninterrupted path is not as powerful, so it only eliminates the first set, the big bigs, okay? And then, your uninterrupted path gets stronger, and then it eliminates the big middles, and so on as you go through it, okay? So the uninterrupted paths all realize emptiness directly, but they're differentiated in terms of their power to abandon a level of afflictions, and they differ in terms of, the level of afflictions they are abandoning. Okay? Okay, and then the 10 bodhisattva bhumis themselves are differentiated in terms of 4 qualities. One is the number of good qualities they have, and we get into some fun numbers when we get into that. So they're differentiated by, first by means of their good qualities, second by the majesty of their power, third by their which of the far-reaching practices they specialize in, and fourth in terms of the fruitional rebirth that they're able to take in order to guide sentient beings from suffering. So when we get into, I'm just giving you the overview now, when we get into the 10 bhumis, then we'll talk about those 4 features. Okay, the qualities, the majesty of the power, the far-reaching practice, and the fruitional rebirth. Okay, so we'll talk about those and go through them. Okay, as you're progressing on the bodhisattva path, you are outshining the hearers and solitary realizers. So there's 2 places where you really outshine them. The first is with the first bhumi, okay? That's when you really outshine the hearers and solitary realizers in terms of their lineage. Sometimes they say it's, sometimes I think I've heard them say on the first path, but here it's the first bhumi. Okay, on the first bhumi, yeah. So you surpass the hearers and solitary realizers in terms of lineage, in the sense that, when a prince or a princess is born, there's still a baby. Yeah, they don't have the realizations of the king or queen, but they're going to become a king or queen. That's something that's definite. Yeah, so a first bhumi bodhisattva does not have the realizations of the arhats, because they still have the afflictive obscurations, but they outshine them in terms of lineage because they will definitely become Buddhas, whereas the arhats, while they're still on the fundamental vehicle path, won't. Okay. Then on the 7th bhumi, they outshine the fundamental vehicle practitioners in terms of wisdom, because at the 7th bhumi, they have the kind of meditative stability whereby they can enter into and leave meditative equipoise on emptiness in a single instant. So this is like how skilled they are in meditative concentration, that they can go into a direct realization of emptiness and out of it in an instant. They can perceive ultimate truth directly, come out of it in the next moment, and perceive conventionalities. That's quite a thing, because you know, at the beginning, you can't go in and out so quickly. You know, you really have to meditate a while and, you know, get your mind strong enough so that you can see emptiness directly. And then when you come out, you know, it takes you a while to come out and start looking around at things again. But this seventh Bhumi Bodhisattva is very, very strong in terms of going in and out. So it's said that they outshine the hearers and solitary realizers in terms of their wisdom. Okay. The first 7 bhumis are called the impure grounds because those, for somebody who's newly entered about the Bodhisattva path, not for somebody who went through the fundamental vehicle path first, but for a new Bodhisattva, they still have the afflictive obscurations on the first 7 grounds. So they're called the impure grounds. The 8th, 9th, and 10th are called the pure grounds because they're free of the afflictive obscurations, but they still have the cognitive obscurations. Okay? So remember, the afflictive obscurations are all of the afflictions: ignorance, anger, attachment, laziness, you know, deceit, pretension, all these good ones, you know, lack of integrity, lack of consideration for others, wrath, belligerence, grudge holding, miserliness, all those things and their seeds you've gotten rid of. Okay? Or those are the afflictive obscurations that you get rid of. The arhats, when they have their path of no more learning. The bodhisattvas, when they reach the 8th bhumi. Okay? And then you have the cognitive obscurations, which are the latencies of the afflictions. So the afflictions have been eliminated, and the seeds, but the latencies haven't. And those latencies cause the nangwa. This word is sometimes translated as the appearance of true existence, sometimes as the perception of true existence. But what it is, it's the factor of the mind that continues to have the mistaken appearance of true existence. Okay? This word nangma is very tricky because if you say the appearance of true existence, then it sounds like phenomena from their own side are appearing as true existence. And that's not so. It's not a problem with phenomena, it's a problem with the mind. If you say perception of true existence, then it sounds like, you know, you're actually apprehending true existence, which you're not, because all of your grasping at true existence has been eliminated. So the word is somewhere in the middle between appearance and perception. And I haven't been able to come up with a good word that's halfway in the middle, and neither has anybody else I've talked to. But that's what we're getting at, okay? Okay. And then when those have been eliminated, all those cognitive obscurations, then you attain full enlightenment. And at enlightenment, a Buddha can perceive ultimate truth and conventional truth simultaneously at the same time. Until that point, they couldn't be perceived simultaneously. Okay. In other words, whenever you were in meditative equipoise, on ultimate truth, no appearance of conventionalities. Whenever you were meditating on illusion-like conventionalities, there was no direct perception of emptiness. But at enlightenment, then both of them are there at the same time. Okay. At that time, at enlightenment, you've fulfilled the collection of merit and the collection of wisdom. And the collection of merit becomes primarily the cause for the form body of the Buddha. And the collection of wisdom, or accumulation of wisdom, becomes the primary cause for the truth body, or the Dharmakaya of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha. Okay. When we talk about the Dharmakaya, it also can have two divisions. One is the wisdom truth body, and one is the nature truth body. So the wisdom truth body is the Buddha's omniscient mind that knows all existence, whether they're conventional or ultimate. The nature truth body is the emptiness of the Buddha's mind and the true cessations that a Buddha has actualized. Okay, so the nature body of the Buddha and the truth body of the Buddha are one entity. Yeah, you can't have one without having the other. And then when we talk about the form body of the Buddha, which is the primary cause of that, is the collection of wisdom, collection of merit. That has two kinds of form body. One is called the resource body. Most people translate it as enjoyment body, but it doesn't, mean a whole lot. The word that is longchu it means like what you use, what you enjoy, what is a resource for you. So I like to, translate it as resource body, because that body is a resource that sentient beings can draw upon. Okay? So each Buddha has one resource body, and that dwells in Akanista, which is the highest Pure Land, and it teaches the Arya Bodhisattvas.
What's the name of that land?
Akanista, but it's different than Vajrayogini's Akanista. Okay, but the highest Pure Land. So the the resource body has its own disciples. To be taught by a resource body, you have to be an Arya Bodhisattva. They don't let anybody into that university. Yeah, just anybody. You have to have really top-notch, SAT scores to get into the highest Pure Land. Okay, but then until we get there, then there is the emanation body, or Nirmanakaya, and that are the forms that the rest of us can see, that ordinary sentient beings can be. So Shakyamuni Buddha, when he appeared on our earth, was in the form of an emanation body, and he turned the wheel of Dharma. The emanation body can also appear as a bridge or a piece of cloth or a material object that some sentient being needs. It can also appear as an artisan, as a spiritual teacher, as some other person, in order to benefit sentient beings. So those are the emanation bodies, are the forms that the rest of us that can perceive. Okay? And the thing is that when you've attained Buddhahood, you can emanate all of these bodies without any problem. Just spontaneously it happens. You don't have to sit down and go, okay, it's Monday morning, let's look around this universe, what sentient being needs help? Oh, Joe Schmo out there, in Timbuktu, he needs some help today, so I better just, make an emanation. Oh God, I relaxed over the weekend and now I have to go and make this emanation. Okay, let's sit down and try. Emanate. Okay. And then you look over here and oh, Susie Cream Cheese, she has a problem. Susie lives in Arizona and it's pretty dangerous in Arizona, Not as dangerous as Libya, but it's getting there. So Susie Cream Cheese needs an emanation body to help her attain enlightenment. And, oh God, I don't want to go to Arizona either. But okay, I took the Bodhisattva vows, might as well strain a bit here. Make an emanation, let's go to see Susie Cream Cheese, but I hope I can help her quick because I don't want to stay there very long. Okay, so that's not how a Buddha does it. Okay, the Buddha, because, you know, they've gone through all of that, what we do, you know, and is so habituated to the mind that wants to benefit others, and because a Buddha has eliminated all the obscurations from their own mind stream that prevent them from benefiting others, therefore, when a sentient being in need appears in front of their mind, spontaneously, without thinking about it, an emanation goes out. Okay. Now you may say, well, you know, I've needed a lot of help, and how come I haven't gotten any emanations? Well, the thing is, when the Buddhas appear, they don't announce themselves. Okay, there isn't a drum roll, and then, you know, you see the Buddha coming and walking in and doing magical tricks, and everybody faints, and, you know. No, Buddhas work in a way that's of the best benefit for sentient beings. And if they came in with all that ostentation, we wouldn't listen to their teachings. We would just sit there and go ooh goo gaga. You know, but you know, the Buddhas manifest in the ways that are most skillful to guide us. Of course, we have to have the karma that's open and receptive to being guided. Okay, remember, if we're the upside down bowl, the sunshine can't get in. So there might be a lot of Buddha's emanations floating around this universe, but we're in our bomb shelter. The bomb shelter of our afflictions, the bomb shelter of our obscurations, you know, that is keeping us just like this, and so we won't let any of the emanations in. So that's why we do purification practice, and that's why we accumulate goodness or accumulate merit, whatever you want to call it, because we're trying to get this rusty, creaky, dilapidated mind of ours that's, you know, filled with afflictions, to start to turn over so that, you know, we can have some contact with the Buddha's emanation bodies. But like I said, when they appear, you know, they aren't going to appear with some fanfare. Yeah, we don't really know who's a Buddha and who isn't. That's why they tell us to be nice to everybody around us, because, you know, we're never really sure. Yeah. I remember when I came back from my first Dharma course, you know, in Lake Arrowhead, California, and you know, so I had the things that I was going to go get as soon as I got down. You know how everybody here is planning what they're going to go get as soon as they leave the Abbey, you know, the Starbucks, the steak, the this, the that. Okay, so I was going to go get donuts. Yeah, so I remember going up to some donut store, and I parked in the back, and there was some guy, you know, street person sitting there, but I ignored him. And I went into the store, you know, lots of teachings on bodhicitta, but forget him. And I went into the store and I got my donuts, you know, and I came back, and then I looked at this guy again and I said, you know, I should really give him a donut. Yeah, that would be a nice thing to do. So I took out one of the donuts, you know, and I handed it to this guy. And he was drunk or loaded or whatever. And he took the donut like this. Then he just went like this. And the whole thing crumbled onto the parking lot. And I've always wondered if maybe he was an emanation body. I still haven't figured out what I was supposed to learn. But it was a very dramatic event that's remained in my mind. I have not forgotten that. Yeah. And I remember going back and thinking, oh, could he have been, you know, a Buddha there for something that I still haven't figured out all these years later, that, you know. So, you know, So we don't know, do we, who's a Buddha, who's not a Buddha? We have no idea. Okay, so that's why they say don't criticize people. It might be a Buddha. Yeah?
When when a Buddha is emanating in a form that we can perceive as that person or thing, like once a Buddha, always a Buddha, like can it appear to someone and be a Buddha and then just be a regular person at other times? Or is it always a Buddha?
It isn't that, a Buddha who emanates. It isn't like a Buddha's a human being with this body and then this body transforms into something else. A Buddha doesn't have a flesh and blood body.
So,
Yeah.
Right. So like that guy, say his name was like Mark. If Mark was a Buddha, someone else met Mark, he'd be a Buddha to that person too.
Well, Mark, if this beggar's, if some, Shakyamuni Buddha is an emanation body. Is he a Buddha to everybody?
No.
He's not a Buddha to everybody?
Well, I mean, he is, but people might not recognize that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But Shakyamuni Buddha appeared not just because of one person. Yeah, but because so many people had the karma to be able to be benefited in that way. Okay, I mean, why is His Holiness Dalai Lama alive? Because many people have the opportunity to be benefited by him. Okay, it's not that, me with my, picayune, teeny-weeny little bit of merit is going to be able to draw some great emanation body, who's going to be my own private personal guru. Forget that one. Okay. So that's what we need, That's why Dharma friends are really important, because we put all of our merit together and then we're able to have teachings. Okay. Okay. So, that's an overview of the Bodhisattva path. What I wanted to get into tonight was some discussion of the bodhicitta and how you enter into the Bodhisattva path. Because when we were doing the fundamental vehicle paths, and I talked about renunciation and how you meditate to generate renunciation. So I want to talk a little bit now about how to meditate to generate bodhicitta. Okay, but first, you have to have the commercial, which is understanding the advantages of bodhicitta. Because remember that they never teach us something straight out. We always have the commercial that tells us the benefits of having it and the disadvantages of not having it. Because otherwise, we're just like, duh, what's special about bodhicitta? Okay? So there's different advantages to bodhicitta, and some of them may make more sense to you than others, okay? And I think that some of them are designed for people, people with different kind of personalities and dispositions and interests, okay? So they kind of cover a wide field. So one advantage is that it's the only gateway for entering the Mahayana path. So if you really admire the Mahayana path and really admire what bodhisattvas are doing, then this is the only way to enter into that path. There's no other doorway into the Mahayana path. Okay? Another advantage is that you receive the name child of the Buddha, or offspring of the Buddha. Now you may say, oh, I have so many names already, what's so big about being called an offspring of a Buddha? Well, think of the names you're usually called. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody saw you as an offspring of the Buddha, as a child of the Buddha, as a prince or princess who is going to grow up to be a king or queen, as a bodhisattva who's going to grow up to be a Buddha? Okay, so Kind of would be nice, huh? The third advantage is that you surpass in brilliance the hearers and solitary realizers. So before we said that you surpass in lineage at the first bhumi and surpass in wisdom at the seventh bhumi. Here you surpass in brilliance. Okay? Actually, in Chandrakirti says you surpass them in brilliance and lineage when you attain the first bhumi. Okay. Anyway, at some point you will surpass them in brilliance. 4 is you will become an object of the highest respect and offering. Now, that doesn't mean you should go, oh, my ego goes, oh, I want to become an object of highest respect and offering, sign me up, you know. No, it's not with that kind of motivation. But when you think of, you know, why do sentient beings make offerings and have respect? You know, it's for something that's really honorable, something that's very noble. And then you think, you know, can little old me become somebody like that would be worthy of offerings and respect because of the bodhicitta and the internal transformation that I've made. Okay, so it's in that way that you look at it, not because you want offerings and respect. Okay, 5 is your collection of merit, your collections of merit and wisdom will be easily completed. Okay, and that's because bodhicitta makes your actions very powerful and effective, you know, because when you have bodhicitta, I mean, it takes a long time to generate bodhicitta. What they say is that bodhicitta is easy to understand, but it takes a really long time to actually generate it. Wisdom, you know, the wisdom realizing emptiness. Emptiness is very difficult to understand, but once you do, to gain the realization is not so difficult. Okay, but bodhicitta takes a long, long time. Yeah, and you hear His Holiness talk about that. Yeah, you know, that at the beginning when he was young, he was very attracted to wisdom and he did all that meditation, and then when he got a little bit older, he became interested in bodhicitta, and, you know, because bodhicitta involves so much habituation and familiarization. Okay, you have to do it again and again and again and again, because you're really rooting out this self-centered mind. Just, you know, takes a lot of time and energy and repetition, familiarization, habituation. Okay, no shortcut. But again, what else are you going to do? Okay. The bodhicitta, because you're working for the benefit of all sentient beings and you have such a noble aspiration, then your actions are very powerful and very effective. And so that's why your collections of merit and wisdom get built up very quickly. Okay? And 6 is the obstacles of negative karma are quickly eliminated. And again, you know, because when you're doing something with bodhicitta, your mind is working for the benefit of each and every sentient being. So that mind's got to be very powerful. You're not just working for the benefit of one sentient being. You're working for the benefit of countless sentient beings. So that mind's very powerful. So any collection of merit you do is very strong. Any purification is very strong. So that's why when we do the 4 opponent powers, you know, the power of restoring the relationship, generating bodhicitta, it's done not just in relationship to the individual who we harmed in one action, but we generate bodhicitta for everybody. And that makes the whole purification process very, very strong. Okay, and then 7 is whatever you wish for in general will happen. Yeah, and you know, that isn't a guarantee that you'll get everything that you want. But what it means is when you have a virtuous wish, it's going to be much easier for that wish to be fulfilled. because you look at the power of your mind that is working to fulfill that virtuous wish. And that mind is very powerful with bodhicitta, so it's, easier to fulfill that. Okay, 8 is it prevents and overcomes harm and interference. Okay, and that's because when we have bodhicitta, our love and compassion is so strong that external enemies are quickly overcome. Yeah. So there's the story of the Buddha, and he had, remember his cousin Devadatta, who was always in competition with the Buddha, always trying to, knock him out and kill him, actually. And so Devadatta one time set this wild, crazed elephant loose in direction of the Buddha, and this elephant, crazy elephant, comes charging up. But by the power of the Buddha's love and compassion, by the time he gets to the Buddha, he bows down. Yeah? So, when somebody has that kind of love and compassion, when you're near them, you feel something. And so even somebody who has an intention to harm that person, it becomes more difficult for them to harm that person because of the power of that person's love and compassion. They feel something. You talk to people who, look at my dad. When my dad met His Holiness, and the picture of my dad with tears in his eyes. My dad doesn't know anything about Buddhism. But His Holiness's presence, His compassion just went right to his heart. Yeah? So this is the kind of power that bodhicitta has. Okay? 9 is you quickly complete all the realizations of the path. Again, because bodhicitta is very strong, you're so intent on attaining enlightenment for the benefit of all beings that you don't get distracted. You don't have to fight with your laziness anymore because you aren't lazy anymore. We have to fight with our laziness now. Yeah, but when you really have bodhicitta, it's all consuming. It takes over your mind, and then you have lots of energy there to, go forward. So, that's why Lama Zopa doesn't sleep. He just goes, yeah? Although I hear that he sometimes falls asleep when Geshe Zopa's teaching him. Don't tell anybody. I think he's probably in deep meditation, actually. But so also with bodhicitta, then you can enter tantra very quickly, attain enlightenment quickly. With bodhicitta, you become a source of comfort and happiness for all sentient beings. Wouldn't that be nice? To be a source of comfort and happiness for all sentient beings. And think about it. Aren't Buddhas, for us, sources of comfort and happiness? If we turn our mind to the Buddha, there's real comfort there. There's a source of joy. There's a direction to take in life. There's meaning and purpose in our life. There's love and compassion. Okay? So we can become like that, become that source of comfort and joy and happiness for all other sentient beings. Which I think would be pretty nice to be able to be, wouldn't it? Yeah? So, you can think of other benefits of bodhicitta as well. For example, the Buddha became enlightened and he gave the teachings because he had the bodhicitta. So his whole reason for becoming enlightened was bodhicitta. His whole reason for teaching was bodhicitta. So if we think of the benefit we've received from a Buddha, due to their bodhicitta, then we really see how it's the source of comfort and aid for sentient beings. Okay, and bodhisattvas, they say bodhisattvas have more love for us than we have for ourselves. Now, of course, in one way we can say we love ourselves a lot, but that's kind of mostly self-centeredness, and it's not actually love because our self-centeredness often leads us to create more problems for ourselves. Okay, but bodhisattvas really love us and really have compassion for us and really wish ourselves the best. You know, we don't even wish ourselves the best sometimes because we don't even know what the best is. You know, and that when we say best, you know, I wish I have the best car. You know, I wish I have the best house. I wish I have the best lover. That's what the best that we wish for. Yeah, but you look at what we think of what the Buddhas wish for us. They really want us to have the best. In other words, the best state of mind. Yeah, the best spiritual realizations. That's really having love and compassion for us. You know, somebody who wants us to have a nice car, that's, you know, it's a nice friend, but, you know, what good is a good car going to do? I mean, it's useful, but compared to somebody who really cares about you spiritually and wants you to be able to actualize your spiritual potential and become a Buddha, you know, our other friends and relatives, the good that they wish for us is really limited, isn't it? Because they, you know, it's not because they're bad people, they just don't know, they don't understand. Okay? So when they say that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have more love and compassion for us than we have for ourselves, this is how it happens. Yeah? So it's really something to think about, you know. I mean, I find this point very, very good to meditate on. So it really makes me think, well, what do I wish for myself? And do I really have love and compassion for myself? You know, and then of course, you know, we come up with all of our self-hatred and, you know, how bad I am, how lousy I am, how insecure I am, and we get stuck in that whole negative thing, and then we don't wish ourselves well at all, do we? We just stay stuck in our poor me story. Mm-hmm. So then if you think, okay, well there's the Buddha, I'm sitting here, you know, oh God, I'm so lousy, I'm so incapable, I've committed so many non-virtuous actions, it's going to be impossible to purify them. Does the Buddha really have omniscience? Do the Buddhas really know all the horrible things I've done? You know, we're sitting there in that state, and then there's the Buddha saying, you know, when a Buddhist says, may all sentient beings have happiness and its causes, they're wishing us full enlightenment in its causes. And be free of suffering in its causes. Everything, all the samsaric suffering, all the samsaric dukkha, the three kinds of dukkha, they're wishing us to be free of all of that, plus its causes. You know? I mean, they really do have more love and compassion for us than we have for ourselves. And then the Buddhas come and say, look, practice this path. You know, it'll help you. And we go, I can't. I want hot pancakes on Sunday morning and they don't have them in the monastery. You know, ever since Kevin left, there's no hot pancakes ever again. How can I ever get enlightened? You know, we're sitting there like that, and the Buddha's really wishing us to have, you know, much greater happiness than pancakes for breakfast.
We should take that and play it regularly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Forget the pancakes.
Forget the pancakes, and you know, all this self-deprecation that we get stuck in, just forget it. It's really so stupid. And, you know, Buddhists don't see us that way. Buddhists don't look at us and go, oh, that person's really the lowest of the low. They're really, you know, ugh. It's not how a Buddhist sees us. So every time we're seeing ourselves like that, we're contradicting the Buddha. You want to contradict the Buddha? You want to tell the Buddha that he doesn't have correct perception? that he doesn't know what he's talking about when he says you have the potential to become a fully enlightened Buddha? Oh, poor me, I'm so awful. Yeah? Are you going to hold on to that low self-esteem and tell the Buddha he doesn't know what he's talking about? think twice about doing that. Really? Yeah. Okay, so those are, let's see. Yeah, so those are, it's 2 o'clock. Very good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, any questions?
I had one pop in my mind when you were talking about how when somebody has such strong bodhicitta, like His Holiness, but then you hear stories of other high lamas that, I don't know how to say that, like they took on some suffering to protect His Holiness. I don't understand what that would be.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the question is, you have somebody like His Holiness, and then you hear, like, it must have been in 83, it was an obstacle year according to Tibetan astrology for His Holiness, and Senchab Serkam Rinpoche, one of my root gurus, it said that he took on that obstacle by giving up his own life for His Holiness to live. So what does all of that mean? Okay, His Holiness life is sustained by the power of our virtue. If you look at His Holiness, you know, the reason for him being here is because we have enough good karma to be able to have somebody like him as our teacher. Yeah. If we break our vows and precepts and our commitments, and if we don't practice the path, then there's obstacles created for His Holiness's life. That's what they say. Okay? So when they say that Senchab Rinpoche took on that, it was like, okay, something negative had to happen because of sentient beings' deeds. So his loss of life was that the ripening of that karma. And then that enabled His Holiness to live. That's how they explain it. Okay?
But I thought we can never take another's karma.
No, they're not taking karma. It's just, you know, there's karma there for obstacles for His Holiness' life. So he had, Senchab Rinpoche was also somebody who's benefiting so many sentient beings. Yeah, but if that karma of sentient beings ripened in terms of them losing him, he was fine with that. He didn't want sentient beings to lose His Holiness. Okay. No, yeah, they're not. He wasn't taking on His Holiness's karma. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I have a question back about the only one resource body.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to get, given the the multiple zillions and zillions of emanations.
Yeah. Okay. So why is there only? Yeah. There's one resource body because the one resource body is dwelling in the highest pure land. The Arya Bodhisattvas can all get there really easily. Mm-hmm. Okay. The emanation bodies, if there's only one emanation body, you know, you can't get to some other universe where that emanation body is. So sentient beings need many emanation bodies. They don't need many resource bodies.
So if, like, when Jai Rinpoche was seeing Manjushri, it would have been the appearance of the resource body, but it would have been an emanation and not...
Don't get into all that stuff.
Okay.
I don't want to get into that, you know.
Okay, that all confuses me.
Yeah, and it's not important for your practicing the path.
Okay.
It's not important at all. Okay? You know, all the Buddhas can appear as Manjushri. There's not just one Manjushri. All the Buddhas can appear as Manjushri. And all the Buddhas can also appear as Tara, and they can also appear as Chenrezig. So these aren't individual beings that there's only one of. Okay? that it? Okay, then we'll dedicate, and then next week we'll continue to talk about developing bodhicitta and, spend some time on equanimity. And we'll also start reviewing the quiz.
May the
Spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long lives. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual masters be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Losang's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami. Due to this merit may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May the born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West, flourish.